What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
Ben, I don't want to say that I'm dressed more like the host today, but I feel like maybe I'm wearing, some pop Patreon merch here.
Okay,
and you're not. So if people want to change their votes based on who dresses more like the host, that's up to them.
Let me one up you.
Yeah.
Let me one up you.
Oh no.
Because I have the prototypes of the brand new exclusive merch that is now available over at patreon.com/popcornculture.
Oh.
Which for Q2 of 2022, which is the year that we're in, it's like 22222, will be these absolutely gorgeous moleskin notebooks that have a gold stamp front and center.
Oh yes,
with the Popcorn Culture logo on it.
Man.
If you're viewing right now, you can see the shimmer, shine of it. It's absolutely beautiful. And these will also, if you sign up, will have your name embossed in gold in the bottom.
Yes. Oh man, they look really, really good.
I know. I was so impressed. Like, I feel like I have been a huge fan, and if you've been like a Super Carlin Brothers fan for a while, you've seen it. But like, if anywhere I can incorporate foil into anything
to make it shine.
Right. Like, to me, I'm like, this is basically just like a cheat code for life. Like they'll just allow you can do this.
You can just do it.
Why doesn't everybody do this?
Just make things shine. Dude, I feel like shiny is just very vogue right now.
It could be. It could be. You know what else I feel like is vogue right now is tie-dye.
I have not considered doing tie-dye shirts for like SCB in some capacity.
This could be like the type of thing where it'd probably be like way too much work for us. But before, I have thought it would be cool if like you and I tie-dyed all of the shirts.
If we personally tie-dyed.
Yes, it's like tie-dyed by us.
Custom.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Custom and not custom well.
Yeah, that's going to definitely, if that happens, it's going to have to be very exclusive or something. That's like a lot of work.
Extreme limited edition.
Yeah.
One of the things that I had seen prior to signing off of TikTok now a couple of weeks ago was a guy would pop up and he was doing such incredibly advanced tie-dye work.
Oh yeah.
That like the outcomes were just like, they were so psychedelic and like wild looking, but like geometrical. And I was like, I always sort of thought that like the general approach of tie-dye was the irregularity of the colors. Like
right.
that is like what I picture when I think of tie-dye. And this is like, oh no.
No. Sorry, your third grade class led you down the wrong path so you could all semi-match on your trip to the Carolina Zoo. But that's not how tie-dye works.
That's not how tie-dye works. Yeah, so people, but like, what's the thing that amazes me the most is that like, I've never been on a cruise before, but I've seen pictures of like when you get on a cruise, they've folded your towel into like a llama or something, or an elephant, a giraffe, an animal of sorts.
Yeah.
The shape of like a t-shirt that has been like expertly set up for tie-dye is like so absurdly comical and random looking that I'm like, I don't know how people know how to like get the achieved outcome that they're looking for, but clearly they do.
Yeah.
It's really, 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 really neat looking. So if you've never looked into like pro level tie-dye.
I have not looked into pro level tie-dye, but my last experience with tie-dye came my senior year of high school, and a female friend of mine who, when I look back on it, it feels very obvious that maybe she had a crush on me, possibly.
Oh.
And I was just not picking up what she was putting down. It's just like, we're total buds. This is great. What a fun friend. But I remember she invited me over at like 9:30 p.m. one night to like make tie-dye shirts.
And you were not picking up on these signals?
Let's go. This sounds great.
That is hilarious.
And I had a cool tie-dye shirt.
I do not remember you having a tie-dye shirt senior year of high school.
Well, maybe I don't remember when. I probably didn't wear it a ton, but I did make it.
Was it cool looking?
I mean, I cannot remember it.
Honestly, the thing that I remember about tie-dye is that one of your best friends when we were growing up, like their mom, I don't know if they were like an art teacher, if they were just like a crafty person, like whatever the case may be. Diane was her name. Yeah.
Yes.
She was really great. But like she would always like have like these like arts and crafts projects and stuff to do. And I think that her and mom were maybe doing them for like an event or something like that. So everybody got together and we tie-dyed a bunch of stuff. And I remember there was like a pair of, because at this point in time we were probably like, I don't know, 6, like we were like little kids.
Yeah.
But we had like a pair of just like white underwear, and I think that mom had gone through and like tied it such that like the butt would just have like a huge like a bullseye on it. And I remember as a kid, it did not occur to me that this was something that could have been done intentionally to be funny. And so like looking back on it, I remember like as a kid I was like, what are the odds, like right on the butt too, you know? It was like, I don't know, I thought it was the funniest thing ever. We should tie-dye some stuff.
We should tie-dye. It didn't even occur, you just brought up underwear. I was like, what else could you tie-dye? Like, I mean, like, could you tie-dye like jeans or something?
Now all I can imagine is you in the basement of your house, like while the kids are sleeping, you're getting into tie-dye and singing the song, "What Else Can I Do?"
What?
What else can I do?
No, man, I can't. I can tell you the number one motivating factor for me to do tie-dye, I think, would be to do it with the kids.
No. I'm imagining this becoming like an absolute just Jay exclusive hobby.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I gotta. It's like, oh yeah, sorry, Beth, wife, can't hang out right now. I'm gonna go tie some dye down in the basement. Don't disturb me.
I will be in my lab.
I will be in my lab.
Or like even if you had like if you called it like my downstairs workshop, like most people's minds might go to like, you know, like a wood shop of
like
sorts.
A wood shop, maybe a gym, something like that.
Yeah,
maybe it's like your code name for your basement bar or something. Yeah, but down in the workshop.
Down in the workshop. Yeah, got like a neon Budweiser sign. And
right. Yeah, some like inflatable Corona planes hanging from the ceiling.
I feel like you had one of those.
That was not a random grab.
I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds familiar. But anyway, now I'm thinking like, okay, so if you were having, not that you'll ever need one, but like a dating profile, I'm like, you could have the most eclectic list of interests ever, which is like, I'm really into Pokemon, specifically gardening sunflowers, and tie-dyeing.
Tie-dye.
Anything.
Yeah. We should. Oh my god! We should just create a fake dating profile of someone and make that the bio and just see what happens. Like the unfortunate thing would be that there would be someone who would give us the old swipe right or something, and then we'd have to go through the embarrassing like, sorry, we were just doing, this isn't a real person.
This is a gag.
This is a
but
gag
like, that's
for
the
a
thing,
podcast.
Though, is that I have to tell you is that like if I had been on like a dating site and like, you know, it's funny because our editor Riley here in office tells us all the time, like back when he used to use them, like the things that stood out to him were people who like had The Office as like a characteristic listed on their dating profile and enjoying ranch dressing.
I think this is a thing. Yeah, The Office and ranch dressing.
Yeah, so he's brought it up a bunch of times that like as you're going through the myriad, because in my mind I've never used a dating app before.
Yeah.
So anything you could list in my mind would be brand new, completely original, like whatever. But I've never had that experience of going through and swiping in such a way that you're kind of picking up on like what like a known
like code or something like I'm this. It's not that you. I mean, I'm sure those people do enjoy ranch dressing and The Office, but it's more like saying I'm this kind of person.
Sure, yeah. Like you might be able to help sort, you know, or whatever.
Right.
The other thing just also being like maybe finding like commonalities, I have to imagine starts to crop up. Like what are the things that people think will come across as like a defining characteristic, but like ultimately maybe is not like a super defining.
Yeah, like what are people listing besides tie-dye to get people interested in them?
This is my exact thought though, is that like an eclectic list like this, I totally think would have worked for me because I'd have been like, oh my gosh, this person is they're just oozing whimsy right now.
Oozing the whimsy.
Right out of their sunflower starch tie-dye t-shirt wearing.
I feel like growing sunflowers and being into tie-dye feels like it's a specific kind of person. But then if you throw the Pokemon cards in there, that feels like a completely different sect.
Oh, that's true.
Know? It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
these two things go together. That one feels a little out of left field, maybe.
Yeah.
And then you're like, then you get to meet, one of us and be like, oh, it's just still, who knew? I can't believe you didn't mention YouTube.
Oh, I know. Yeah, like this is the thing. Yeah, I feel like as you're going through, you want to include. This is my advice to anybody who cares to take it. Good luck. I have no idea if it'll work, but I would include like something about me that would be like it's like everything checks off. It's like these are all good things. Love it. But then there would have to be that detail that on the first date they're like, I have got to ask, like, what is the deal with this?
Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like determined to have dinosaur sheets for the rest of your life.
You think you'd put that in your bio?
I'm dying on this hill.
Yeah.
I had custom made king size dinosaur sheets because they don't normally make them in king size, Like, I had to go out of my way.
Yeah, right. Most kids don't have the king size.
Right.
Yeah. Tyrannosaurus size, as it's known in the dinosaur sheet world.
It comes in T-Rex, Triceratops. Oh, man.
That'd be great.
That's so true. Oh my gosh. Okay. So anyway, I don't know if that's a terrible example. I typically when I'm trying to think of something just incredibly random, I think that my brain has this fun feature about it that is like one of those roulette wheels where it's just like something's gonna come out of my brain. Right. I don't know why dinosaur sheets is what came to my mind. I have like there's no backstory there. I don't have anything that's like leading up to it.
It feels like a little presumptuous too to be listing your sheet preferences in your dating profile.
That is true.
You're like, I will not change my dinosaur sheets. Wink.
Yeah. Okay. All right. My bad. Now I feel like I have inadvertently walked down a road I did not originally plan.
Here's I think this would be a good I feel like a good thing to include in your dating profile. I was live streaming last night on Instagram.
Okay.
Because we got a new box of Pokemon cards and I was opening them at the house instead of tie-dyeing like I might normally do on a regular evening.
In my shop.
And I was like, you know what? No one else is here. The kids are asleep. Beth's hanging out with having like dinner with some friends. So I was like, I'm just gonna stream. I'll just answer some questions. And it was like 9:30 at night. And the number of people watching that mentioned that they were drinking coffee or something, I was like, what is going on? Like, no, it must be a different time zone. You guys on the East Coast? And they're like, East Coast, Jay, East Coast. I'm like, well, that's impressive. But the combination of coffee and popcorn came up a few times, and I was like, you know what? If I that seems like a really good thing to put in your dating profile, just like coffee and popcorn.
Coffee and popcorn.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be defining enough about you, or is this The Office and ranch dressing all over again?
Maybe.
Generally liked things.
I like coffee and popcorn.
You're keeping the net open, although this is like that like thing where if you can go really, really, really specific, then it's like you're not catching a lot, but what you are catching was okay with whatever specific thing you put.
Right, exactly. Look, when you come back from fishing, no one's like, who caught the most fish? It's who caught the biggest fish.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right. So you gotta put on some of the specialty bait.
Exactly.
The dinosaur sheets.
Gotta put or maybe something else.
well, I mean, yeah,
let's stick with tie-dye bed.
Well, I know, yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Maybe you just put complete nonsense in there. Just be like tie-dye dinosaurs and sunflowers, and you're like, oh, okay. What does that mean? I just need to know. I just got to get it on. I got to be in person with this person.
Right. It's like you've piqued my curiosity.
I get okay.
It's
tie-dye
like,
dinosaurs.
I don't like these things at all, but I need to know.
I've also
why.
never seen them next to each other like this.
Right. It's like I need to know why you like them.
Okay, Ben. Speaking of sunflowers.
Okay.
A couple of weeks ago, we were trying to come up with a good old-fashioned nickname for the bunny in my yard that's ruining my sunflowers.
Yeah, you declined sauce.
Yeah.
And I think we did go with Bazooka.
Bazooka, which, by the way, if you go to the Popcorn Culture Reddit, you can see live footage of Bazooka scoping the perimeter on the sunflowers.
I can't help but feel like naming Bazooka has caused you to have more of an endearing relationship.
Well, I mean, a little bit. I feel like we have this, like, mutual rivalry now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
like well-respected foes.
kind of like when you go to like a tie-dye conference and
exactly,
like, you know who you're up against.
You know who you're up against. Like everyone's there and they're all like, yeah, we just love tie-dye, but you all know you're secretly in like horrible competition for who's the best at tie-dye.
Right. Yeah, it's quite. Tie-dye is a sport known for its pleasantries, but beneath it all is just
it's ruthless.
It's
ruthless.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. So anyway, I was wavering on even the name of Bazooka, but upon seeing Bazooka in the flesh, in the hair, as it were, there was no doubt that was absolutely his name.
Okay, good.
Now here's my thought though: is I feel like as I've constantly referred to Bazooka, I feel like he needs more of like a title.
Okay.
So I have come down to two names, and I just want you to weigh in.
Okay.
Either just full name title Bazooka Bunny. Or
alliteration.
Good. You got that in there. Or Bazooka Jack Rabbit, like Bazooka Jack Rabbit.
Oh, that's also
right?
good.
Yeah, because I mean he's not actually a jackrabbit. Obviously, it's like a whole different kind of long-eared foe.
As soon as you said Bazooka Jack,
right,
it immediately had an eye patch.
Yo, Bazooka Jack.
Yeah, Bazooka Jack definitely has an eye patch.
Okay,
and so it's like now it's a rabbit that has an eye patch, which is kind of adorable.
Rabbit that has an eye patch and a bazooka.
Slightly menacing.
Yeah.
Kind of adorable.
Yeah.
Okay. I like Bazooka Jackrabbit personally.
Okay, Bazooka Jackrabbit.
But I could see the argument for Bazooka Bunny.
Right,
because it's
got the alliteration.
It's got the alliteration going on. So
but like Jack Bunny doesn't work, or
No. Bazooka Jack Bunny.
Maybe it's just Bazooka Jack.
Bazooka Jack's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of like, why the Jack? And it's like Jackrabbit.
Jackrabbit.
And then people are like, I get it.
Right,
That's clever.
Right.
They like everybody gets there like at the same speed.
Exactly. Because you have to explain it to them, like all the best jokes.
All the best jokes. All the best. Speaking of, I think you inserted a corny joke into this week's.
It just felt like it had been a minute since we did a good old fashioned corny joke, so I just, I put one in there.
Can you lay it on me?
Are you ready, Ben?
Yes. Yeah,
Why did the duck go to the chiropractor?
Why would the duck go to the chiropractor? Wing injury. It seems likely.
Yeah, sure.
Possible like neck. It seems like sometimes they do like a little bit of a.
They got like a like a skinny, they got like a long neck going on a duck.
They do. They do.
It feels like you might need a chiropractor.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it typically called when you go and get like reset by a chiropractor?
Adjusted?
An adjusted. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with the answer to the corny joke is an adjustment.
Yeah, that's exactly. Well, you're not. I mean, you're in the right. Why you go to the chiropractor realm. Correct.
I'm in the same pond.
Yeah, you're in the same pond. Why did the duck go to the chiropractor? To get its back quacked.
Oh, you're kidding me. That's pretty good. I mean, that falls into I think that's an adjustment as far as I'm concerned. So
exactly.
I pretty much had it right, just not as adorably.
You were technically correct, which is the best kind of correct, as we all know.
That would be really funny if like if inside of like 27 Butts the movie is you had someone who kept trying to tell jokes and someone kept giving technically correct answers. It's like, well, yes.
Yeah, but isn't that what I said? Yeah.
yeah. His back quacked.
Yeah.
It's like, an adjustment. That's what I said.
Yeah.
But it's a pun. Well, is it?
Is it? I mean, it's just a question.
Okay, so speaking of running gags that we currently have going on in the pop right now, you also included a fun fact about Abe Lincoln, which I'm extremely excited about because what you have written down seems impossill. But
I agree.
If I've come to know anything about good old Abe,
Abe Lincoln,
nothing is out.
Ben, okay, yes. So again, this fact originated again from my Instagram live chat last night while I was opening the latest set of Pokemon cards, Astral Radiance.
Sure. Yeah.
And people were bringing up, crazy things about Abe Lincoln. They were like, because we were talking about Obi-Wan, and someone was like, is Abe Lincoln in Obi-Wan? And I was just like, you know what? It would legit not surprise me if somewhere in the Star Wars galaxy there's a character like based on Abe Lincoln.
Sure.
Or something like that. So that was sort of my like, you know what? It feels very even probable at this point, because I can't believe the number of ways Abe Lincoln has found his way into everything.
I know. It's like, but that's part of it too, is that he's such a particularly famous president because he was involved with like such a particularly like pivotal era
Yeah.
of like American history.
Yeah.
But like it also feels like, you know what, even if he hadn't been, even if he had just been like alive during like a total like lull.
Right, even if he was just like president number like 23 or something.
Oh yeah, I mean 23. Does anybody remember 23?
I know. Nobody.
Van Buren.
Is that right?
I have absolutely no idea. Just total shot in the dark.
Wow.
Sometimes it's fun to just guess.
Sometimes it is.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I threw you off.
So anyway, I was looking it up today. Like, is there a Star Wars character based on Abe Lincoln? And the answer is yes. And it was shocking to me. But then I read a little bit further, and it wasn't what I thought.
Okay.
So-
I'm like the thumbnail that you were describing with words. I'm clicking on right now.
Okay. So the Star Wars character based upon Abe Lincoln is Supreme Leader Snoke.
It can't be.
I know.
It can't
It
be.
is like, I know. I was like, there's no. What are you talking about? How on earth could Supreme Leader Snoke be based on Abe Lincoln? I mean, maybe unbeknownst to us, Snoke is just like a hands down killer grappler or something.
Well, I mean, you can't rule it out. However, the thing that's immediately coming to my mind, because again, I want to guess, is like the Lincoln Monument is not dissimilar to the way that Kylo Ren first interacts with Snoke.
Yes, no, that is exactly it.
Oh, nice!
Yes, the way in which they designed Snoke's appearance in The Force Awakens and how Kylo Ren would speak to him in the giant holographic throne was based upon the Lincoln Monument.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that makes
in no other way is he similar to Abe Lincoln, other than I guess that he's the leader of his particular political party.
Both leaders.
One not so good.
I know, exactly. Yeah. Okay, interesting. It also makes me think of the movie, the animated Hercules, where Hercules goes and talks to Zeus in a very, very similar capacity.
That feels like that almost is definitely based on the Lincoln Monument as well.
I wonder if J.J. Abrams was just like sitting at home and he's just like watching Hercules and he's like, no, I've got an idea.
I have an idea. What if Supreme Leader Snoke is Zeus, is Lincoln, is a hologram? Let's try it.
Okay.
And so they did.
Okay, I love it. Okay, so speaking of Lincoln, this also reminds me of Lincoln's Treasure. Which brings me to today's element of surprise.
What?
And fittingly, it also fits with exactly what we just talked about.
Oh my
in a way that like
what?
I couldn't have like set this up better. I saw the notes and I was like, this is gonna work out.
I have no idea what you're about to tell me. If you're about to tell me Lincoln had a genuine like treasure box somewhere, it wouldn't even surprise me.
What I'm about to tell you is that we now have a treasure box.
We have a treasure box?
Well, technically not a box, but we have treasure that could go in a box.
We have treasure.
We have treasure.
Oh my
so
goodness.
Once upon a time, you authorized me to purchase some treasure, which I then did,
Which you
thinking
did? Oh, no.
it would have happened sooner. And it has has arrived.
My gosh.
I shall pass the baton.
I'm so
Hang on.
nervous.
See if like you can like hear it. He can't see it right now, people.
Oh,
but you can hear it.
Hear the treasure
doing the clink. Okay, I'm gonna do the handoff for the folks who aren't watching at home and only listening at home.
Oh my gosh, I can kind of see some of it. It looks treasury.
It's treasury indeed.
Oh, it's hefty in weight.
I know.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
I bestow upon you treasure.
The treasure is this. It looks like Beskar steel.
It is. It is a molded. It is actual silver.
Oh, it's real. Okay, this is like pure silver.
It's pure silver, and it has been molded to look like the Beskar steel like blanks from The Mandalorian.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
When we first set out to do this, I had ordered this like months ago, or a couple of months ago, I think, when we first had the conversation. So when you were comparing Lincoln to Star Wars, and I was like, now we have Lincoln's Treasure.
Now we have
it's Star Wars
and
themed.
Star Wars themed. What makes this Lincoln's Treasure just that?
Well, because
it originated from the pop.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, any treasure that we have, we must refer to
as Lincoln's Treasure.
Because that was our inspo is Lincoln's Treasure.
What amount is there? A specific value that I'm holding? It says $2 on it.
No, so it's I think each one of those is maybe 2 ounces each.
Okay.
So I forget how much an ounce of silver was, but it was the thing I was surprised about, especially having like, looked into purchasing like an engagement ring for Alice once upon a time and like looking at the precious metals and stuff like that.
Right.
Is that like silver is just not as expensive as you think it is. Like to me, like the idea of like if somebody were like if they handed you, even if it was like a quarter and they were like, oh, this is a 1963 quarter, meaning like this one is made of like pure silver, I would have thought like, oh my gosh, you just handed me something that could have been like in the treasure chest at the end of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right.
Like
in my mind, like silver is like just very barely not as valuable as gold.
Yeah, but they're not even like remotely on the same page.
Okay.
Like an ounce of silver I think is like $35 and an ounce of gold is like $2,000.
Oh, so if you come in like second place at the Olympics, you really are like the first loser.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Especially I don't know if Olympic medals are in fact like actually precious metals.
What? Dude, it would be so disappointing to me if Olympic medals were not made out of the precious metals upon which they are named after.
I mean, I'm sure they're plated, but like for them to be like if they were giving solid gold medals,
yeah.
I mean the size of those things is such that they would be giving them, and I mean I suppose you're
the best in the world.
The best in the world, but I mean it would basically make that medallion. I mean, I bet that those easily weigh half a pound, which is...
Well, they're very strong people.
They are very strong people, but I mean, that would be 8 ounces. That would mean that medal costs $16,000.
I'm looking it up right now.
Please do.
Are Olympic medals made out of pure gold? Let's see. Each Olympic gold medal is made up of 210 grams of silver and is coated with 6 grams of 24-karat gold. The bronze medals are made of copper, zinc, tin, and a very small amount of silver. Well, that is just a bummer, if you ask me.
The thing is that, like, despite the fact that you are on the global level, the best in your field, like, I think it's very easy, especially like living in America, to operate under the assumption that like you are a professional athlete, therefore you are extremely well funded like for your task. Mm-hmm. But it would absolutely be the case that if it was pure gold, I think that the problem would be that you would have like your greatest accomplishment in this like physical, object.
Yeah.
But for so many people, it would make more sense probably for them to sell it.
Ooh, that's interesting. That's weird. I've never even considered this. Is there any like prize money associated with winning the Olympics?
I have absolutely no idea.
Well, this is other than obviously you're not even real gold medal. Hold on.
Which, to be fair, it is entirely possible that if you did sell a real gold medal, like they are incredibly collectible. Not even collectible, but like they would be incredibly rare and scarce objects because they're even different at each Olympics. So each time there's like only a set number of those gold medals. So it's entirely possible that they're actually worth even more if you were to or if like Michael Phelps were to like auction off one of his, I bet he could sell it for so much.
Okay. This is the top result on Google from February 17th, 2022. It says, Olympic athletes do not get paid by just attending the Olympic Games. However, if an athlete earns a medal, there is a medal bonus attached to it. A gold medal is worth $37,500, a silver medal is worth $22,500, and a bronze medal is worth $15,000.
Wow.
So, I guess you do... Now, I don't know if that's like saying that the United States will give its athletes a prize based on winning the medals, or whether or not the Olympic Committee would.
Yeah, it's got to be the Olympic Committee.
Yeah, otherwise that sounds like bounties or something.
Well, it would also be very again disproportionate to different nations.
Sure.
Like for the United States, again, it probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. But like if your country let's say, I don't know, like went and had like a really, really incredible run at the Olympics and just like stacked up a bunch of medals and they were like, "Ooh, man, we did not budget for this level of performance.
Oh, that's true.
You know, like you don't want to like discourage a scenario where
Michael Phelps is just like, sorry, sir, you have won too many medals.
We're running out of cash flow over here.
Out of the cash flow. Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty cool. I've never even considered whether or not if you medaled in the Olympics that you also like won some amount of cash prize. But I suppose the bronze lining is that if you come in third, that you still get $15,000.
There is that.
Yeah. So
the other question I would have is if you're like on like a relay team, let's say, and you win a gold medal, it's like, does that 37,000 get split amongst the four of you, or do all four of you get it?
I would think that all four of them got it.
Ooh.
That's how I would think.
Okay.
It's four people. They all contributed to winning the medal. I guess if like, how would you? Because like,
what about like a soccer team?
Yeah, certainly if like a soccer team won it, you'd think they're not splitting up the money on grits. That would be so. You'd be getting so much less if you're on the soccer team.
At bare minimum, 11 players to play a game of soccer, and that's like with 0 substitutes. So
right.
Almost certainly it's twice as many as that.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, you'd be talking about 22 players splitting $37,000 for being a globally best in your field athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would seem like too small of an amount.
It would seem like too small of an amount. So yeah, my guess without doing any extra research is that I would think and hope that they would all get the top prize money.
Okay.
That then makes those particular sports a lot more expensive to run.
It does. And it's also interesting because it feels like those are the types of sports that there are some exceptions to this, but it doesn't feel like soccer holds up against the World Cup or like basketball doesn't hold up against like the NBA finals in terms of like winning a gold medal in almost any sport is the greatest accolade you can get for that sport, with a few exceptions.
Like
cycling, the Tour de France.
The Tour de France is still better than the Olympics.
The Olympic gold, yep.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fascinating that like something was able to literally edge out what is otherwise considered the not actually gold standard.
Yeah, right. That it's very interesting, but like it kind of makes sense because it's not like the Olympics themselves last 3 weeks, which is about the same length of time the entire Tour de France lasts.
True.
And it's not as if like every single day of the Olympics there's another stage in the overall cycling competition or something, because they have like such specific events and stuff that they compete in.
Right.
Like plus like each time they do the Olympics, then would you have to create some sort of like tour of the country you're in?
You would need that, I think.
That'd be awesome, though.
It would be incredibly cool.
Yeah. Oh, man. That would make the cycling portion of the Summer Olympics really interesting.
It would make it huge.
Yeah.
And maybe that's like part of the problem is that for sports like that, where there's so much buildup and anticipation and like execution, because, yeah, I mean, for the Tour de France, you're literally watching these cyclists ride, I think like 200 plus miles a day for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, they're doing a ton of competing.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
No doubt. Man. Well, speaking of cycling,
Hey.
Transition.
Nice.
Boom. I started finally reading one of your Wick at the Peaks, Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
How are you liking it so far?
I'm enjoying it so far. I will say that the opening chapter is like almost a little graphic when he's like talking about getting hit in the face with the baseball bat.
Yes.
I was like, I just like, I finished listening to a book on my way home yesterday. Then I like finished the last 5 minutes of the podcast I was listening to. I was like, all right, well, I'm halfway home. Maybe I'll start this Atomic Habits book. And I was like, this was a bad time to just start like listening to this on my casual drive home from work without like any prep or something. I was like, whoa, this is it's like hard to listen to how badly injured this person was.
It is. It's pretty remarkable. But it's also then remarkable. The basic setup for it is he like sustains this like essentially like could just be career ending injury as like a high school athlete, and then goes on after that injury to surpass the skill he had.
Yeah.
Like afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, so he actually achieved more.
Yeah, so it's a good launching point, and it's a good like personal story by the author to get you going. And then immediately what made me think of it was that he tells the story or gives the great example of the British cycling team that went through and did like 1% increases everywhere and suddenly just like exploded with success on the international level. Yeah.
Which is, I actually think that particular example has been really fascinating for us here at Super Carlin Brothers, because I feel like I was telling you about this particular example after reading Atomic Habits, and I was like, maybe this is the way we should just like approach how we do like our YouTube channel,
right?
Where it's like maybe on every single day, it's like, because there's no doubt that like I can absolutely understand why the psychology of your average, if you want to call it influencer, person who puts content somewhere on the interwebs, there is such a roller coaster that has inevitably happened on your way to this point.
Yeah.
And with that typically comes a peak point where basically your like channel's viewership has, or whatever your platform is, has like reached its like all-time max. And it's like, the all-time max is obviously not sustainable. And so like you will
yeah, the max is definitionally a
like a limited
non-sustainable thing. Yeah.
Right. Yes, exactly. Kind of like you can't go out and like, you can sprint very fast. You could sprint 100 meters way faster than you'd be able to then just carry that pace for the entire mile. But as such, though, typically what that means is that like when you are making content, you are like making stuff, and like eventually maybe it gets that foothold and like it's doing better and better and better and better, and then it just like you hit the peak. But the thing is that the peak has something on the other side of it, which is coming back down, because the max is not sustainable, and I think that this is like a very difficult thing for your brain to like grapple with,
right?
Because it means that like almost no matter what, the lifespan of your future on a given platform lives in the shadow of that peak,
right?
For a period of time, and that's not to say that anybody never then like surpasses their original peak or anything like that, but it can be difficult, and it can leave you in a position of like, well, how do I get back to that? Like, how do I catch the lightning in the bottle over again?
Right.
So I feel like the way you and I have like reframed our approach is just basically like 1%. It's like
1%.
We're not trying to hit a new peak. We're just trying to improve by 1%.
1% every day. 1% of it. But honestly, what it immediately made me think of as they were talking about that story, because he talks about how like tiny improvements and having like good habits and like developing good habits that you can practice every single day is like a compounding interest sort of thing, where it's just like what burns out so many people is trying to like just set a goal that has like a really specific end point, and then like they'll hit the goal and then they'll just stop whatever they were doing.
Yep.
Or something like that. And like there's a long, or you start going towards whatever you want to do and you don't see results immediately, or even after like a maybe a somewhat longer amount of time. Like if you're trying to lose weight or something, just as an example, and you go to the gym for 2 weeks in a row and you don't see any change or anything, then it can be easy to like burn out. And what he's saying that like you might even go 6 months in a row and not see any change. But the thing is, he like compares it to like melting an ice cube, which I thought was really interesting. Is like, yeah, you know what? That entire 6 months, maybe you were sitting in a room with an ice cube on the table at like 0 degrees, and now you've raised the temperature in the room up to 31 degrees, and like from where you're sitting, obviously it doesn't look like the ice cube has changed at all because it's still below freezing.
Right.
But like that one next day when you like cross the threshold, all of a sudden there's going to be a crazy change.
Right. Yes.
And it's like all of a sudden you'll be at 32 degrees and that ice cube is going to be water, and like no one's going to know how much like don't throw away like all the work from 0 to 31, because like that is doing something, but you just have to like find that breaking point, and eventually like it'll just like the compounding interest will just explode. And I was like, it reminded me so much of year one from Super Carlin Brothers, or even the first 2 years, because I was just like, I was like, like that to me, like immediately reaffirmed everything he was saying, because during that time, like we were like, I mean, that's basically what we were doing. You know, we were just making, I feel like probably like 1% improvements more or less every day. Maybe not like in terms of, I don't know, like the quality of our equipment or anything, but like we were doing it every day, and we were getting like better and better and better at like being on camera and honing in on what people liked and making the thumbnails and writing the scripts and doing the editing and all those things. And eventually, like, sure enough, it just like we hit the 32 degrees mark and something just like exploded.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it was like, oh man.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's funny too, because this like incremental growth is something that is, it's hard to track, and it's hard to see, especially if you're like living inside of it all the time. Like, I absolutely felt like I got through, like, if you could go back and watch like year 1, episode 1, Ben Video, Super Carlin Brothers, and it's like I'm starting from like below zero.
Right.
You know, it's like there is, I have absolutely no skill, whether it pertains to like on camera, like, you know, charisma or something like that, to the content of what I was actually saying, to the editing of it. You know, I mean, nothing about it was like, and I'm not trying to be self-deprecating either. It's just like it had like a long, it had plenty of room to grow.
Right.
But the thing is that, like, you know, we were making 2 to 3 videos a week every week for that entire year. So like, despite the fact that like I was getting faster at editing, and the fact that like it was getting like a little bit better, and I was figuring out like what ultimately translated to something that came across as like funny on screen.
Right.
You know, it was happening so slowly that like I was incapable of seeing it.
Right.
And this, you could compare this to like 75 Hard, which I just, you know, like was doing over the past couple of months, where it's like at any point in time, I feel like, you know, I could have eaten better for a couple of weeks, and exactly like you're saying, like thrown in the towel, and like, whatever, this isn't making a difference. And it was like when I started taking like the progress pictures, it was like, oh my gosh, it is making a difference.
Right.
You know, it's like I can't see it in the mirror, but like when I compare these pictures, you can see the difference between these people. Yeah.
Right. What I thought was really interesting and almost like ironic, is I've only listened like the first maybe hour and a half or so of the book, but it's a pretty short book.
It is, yeah. Pretty quick read.
Was that like you ended up reading the book because of 75 Hard.
Yes.
But I felt like even inside the book, it was like dismissing the idea of having like, like the book would have like suggested that like 75 Hard was a terrible way to like get in shape or something.
And I think that like it's sort of where I got to with 75 Hard, which like I have a lot of like layers of feelings about this, because doing 75 Hard, I had a bunch of people messaging me saying like, hey, you've inspired me to do this thing.
Yeah.
And like that meant the world to me. Like that was almost like more meaningful, especially like looking back on it, than any of the gains that I saw in any other capacity.
Right.
So like that was like this like really, really great thing about it. But I did feel like I ultimately sort of like kept barreling towards that ultimate conclusion, which was like, this is starting to like take a toll on me. And it's like, I was doing this because I was like in an effort to improve myself, you know, because maybe I'll be happy if I can improve myself. And it was like, ooh, no, like I'm like almost taking this too far, that it's like, I can like feel the impact it's having on me.
Well, I think even like, I think more what I was trying to say was that like in the book, like even I thought about it as I was doing like the 30 days of Peloton too, is like, oh yeah, like people will like train for a race, and then they'll train really hard for that race, and as soon as they cross the finish line, they'll like stop running.
You're right.
Or whatever. It's like having, it was like this weird commentary you don't hear about like goal-based thinking, like where if the goal is the only thing you're focused on, like finishing the 75 Hard or finishing 30 days of, you know, Peloton in a row or whatever, then like you, one, don't allow yourself to be happy until you hit the goal, because you're only focused on like that as the thing that you will accomplish. And then it doesn't like ultimately affect your identity moving forward. It's like you get to the end of it, and then what? It's like, I thought that was like very interesting, because like sure enough, like I wanted to do that like 30-day challenge, and like I got to it, and I can tell you that I have not ridden the bike one day since then.
Sure.
You know, it wasn't like I didn't begin identifying as like I am a stationary bike, or I'm a Pelotoner or something.
Sure.
You know?
But this is also very interesting too, because this is probably like one of those things I think could make people glaze. But like let me ask you to not glaze, because there is the sport of CrossFit.
Right.
And with that, there are the CrossFit Games. And it's this like just absolutely grueling lineup of activities where these people go. And I mean, there's like Netflix documentaries and stuff that like follow many of the athletes like through the process and everything. But there was one guy in particular who emerged. His name is Matt Frazier, just as like he's just far and away better at the games than everyone else. And like he was just like this like repeat champion, and he was like, you know, it's like second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever. They're all like finishing about how you might expect, like in terms of proximity to one another.
Right.
And then way out ahead of them is Matt Frazier.
Right.
It's like he could like not even compete the second half of the last day because he has so many points that he doesn't even need to.
Right.
You know? And when they've talked to him, one of the big things that he said, and part of his story, is that he used to be like this Olympic lifter and he had a spinal injury. And they basically were like, you're never going to be an Olympic lifter again. Like, you know, like this, it's just, it was too dangerous, or the damage was too much or something. And he basically started like approaching, instead of like trying to train for the Olympics, and instead of trying to train to win the gold medal type of thing, he was like, I started to train for me. Like,
right.
I wanted to get better. And so like, I'm not competing with everybody else out there. I'm just going and I'm like attempting to compete like me, myself, and I. You know, it's like that's it. Like, I just want to get better at my sport. And I think you're exactly right. Like, so he's not saying I want to win the CrossFit Games.
Right.
That is just a byproduct of the new approach to fitness that he had.
Right.
And so in reflection of 75 Hard and reading several of these books, one of the ones that I have like sort of had this thought experiment about is I love like the Spartan races that we've done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And through Spartan racing, they have like an elite racers series. And I've seen those guys go out before, and they're on a completely different level. And this is like the actual like competition grade version of the race. They're like the guys who do like the first run of the course. So like they're the ones who interact with it before us common folk,
right?
You know, go and do the same. And I think I've always been so incredibly intimidated just by the sheer level of like fitness of the people who do this.
Right.
Like, you know, you watch them come off the lines, and these men and women are just like ripped. I mean, they are like, you know, the magazine cover like fitness people, and you're like, it's like, man, that's like next level. But so when I started trying to put these pieces together, I was like, what if I don't even think about competing with those people? It's just like, I just want to see how good I can get at this stuff. Like, I love the obstacles, I love the courses. Like, it kind of combines like maybe some of the strengths I had as like a high school cross country runner, and merges it with some of like the strength training that we've done as an adult, and applies it to the like outdoorsman-y type of stuff that we like of, you know, being out in the elements and facing that type of stuff. And so obviously I have not, you know, pursued this ambition, but this is like the thought. It's like, you can't think that you want to go and like beat anybody else in that elite series. You just have to think like, how good could I do?
Right. Like, it's not that I want to be like it's not that I want to finish an elite Spartan race. It's like, I want to be like, not even I want to be, that's even already the wrong phrasing. It's like, I am an adventure racer.
Yes, exactly. You know? Yeah. And so it's just like, how do I be better at my,
how do I be a better adventure racer? What would an adventure racer do in this situation?
Yes.
Yeah. Sort of thing.
And then the question would just be like, sort of, and this is again, even like departing the objective here, but what would the ultimate byproduct be?
Right.
Like, if this just became like, you know, what you pursued, and this was like brought you joy and everything, then it's like, would you start to see yourself land in better and better and better spots?
Right, probably.
As time went on. Yeah, because like, you're just like, how do I fine tune? How do I get better?
Right, exactly. And if you're practicing all the things all the time, because that's what, you know, that's what you want to do, then you'll get better.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and it seems like, at least according to like the book, eventually you will hit some sort of like breaking point, and it will like really explode.
Yeah.
But the book also preaches a lot of patience as well, which I think is probably the really difficult part.
It always is. Yeah, I think that patience is definitely like the big thing that with anything, you have to be prepared for it not to happen immediately.
Yeah, I think something, I don't know if it will get to this, but my guess is that if ever you're like embarking on this, like it talks about like 1% improvement and like micro improvements and like over time how it compounds and stuff. But I would guess also what makes it difficult is that like out of the gate, you're probably able to make a bunch of like obvious adjustments or like decisions that will help you improve like 10 or 20% like almost immediately.
Like real fast.
Like real fast. And then that'll be encouraging, but then what might be discouraging is how slow the progress becomes after that until you in fact hit whatever breaking point there is.
Right. So take my like, adventure races or whatever for as an example. A few years ago, I think in 2019 for like my birthday, I like signed up for a race to go and just like actually like run it with intent and purpose and just like see how I could do. Because every other time I've ever done it was always with like a big group of people, and it was just like I just wanted to be there with those people,
right,
and help where I could help or be encouraging where I could be encouraging. But this was sort of like I'm gonna go, put the grease paint under my eyes and like run, like
right,
come off the line. So in preparation for that, I was doing like, push-ups and pull-ups and rope climbs and like just a variety of other like activities that could like potentially have me prepared.
Right.
The thing I did not do was run. At all. And it's like this is one of those where it's still a 4 to 5 mile
run. Right.
Like I mean, I can go up a rope in like 8 seconds.
Right.
Like it doesn't take me any time. It probably doesn't even take me that long.
Right. Like this is the real trick to these races is that the obstacles themselves, they will slow you down to be sure, but you can get up the rope. The 5-second difference in how fast you get up that rope out of the gate isn't going to be the deal breaker.
Exactly.
The most amount of time will be lost in the running itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to truly adopt this, I feel like you would also need to adopt that aspect of it, which is like the one that I've sort of been like, I know, like it's so silly because it's now been how many years since we left college? 14 years high school rather. 14 years since I left high school and was like a competitive runner in any capacity at all. And in my mind, I'm still like, I got the run down.
I got it down.
I ran 14
Easy.
years ago, a whole bunch like that. Yeah. That'll hold me.
I'm set. I'm set. I would bet the other thing you didn't do was continue any of that stuff after you finish the race.
Also true.
Right.
Also true, yeah. Which I think is a big indication.
I think about this. I think we've talked about this before. Like I always think like, yeah, we were going rock climbing a ton once upon a time. And like, I think we even talked before about like, I feel like if we'd continued doing it, like it's probably been like 5 years since we were going regularly or something, if not more. And I'm like, I wonder, like we were going pretty regularly and sure enough, like you get a lot better quickly, but like, where would I be today if we had continued doing it at the same rate we were doing it for the past 5 years? Like, because I think we had probably all started reaching that point where it's like, okay, improvement from here on out will be slow.
Yes, for me, like the way I was looking at it was like the only way for me to start to get better is to like literally start to have this be like a part-time job for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but that's probably not true.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
It's possible that just even just like that much more consistency would have led to that much more development and technical ability and everything. But I definitely felt like I was like my like peak, my growth curve had like definitely like flattened.
Right.
Which was hard.
Right.
But that's the question too, is that like if you're doing something in this way where it's like where it isn't so goal based, it's like you don't get discouraged by the growth curve because that's not why you're doing it. Maybe that's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you're just doing it because you love doing it, then that growth curve will go up when it goes up. It will go up when it's ready.
Yeah.
And that's probably a big part of it, which is interesting because I think you and I are both very goal oriented people.
Right. Yeah. It's like, it has immediately like grabbed my attention though. And just like, what are the tiny things you can do on the daily that will eventually add up to something like massive?
Yes.
Like I remember for a while I was even writing like on my to-do list, just like do like I would write down like push-ups twice, and like twice a day I would just do like 20 push-ups or something.
Sure.
And it's like the same thing. I'm like, I don't do that anymore, but I'm like, if I had been doing just 40 random push-ups a day for the last 7 months, like that would have translated into something by now.
Surely.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it doesn't seem like that much you're doing at any given moment, but like certainly that would have an effect.
This actually hails back to a different conversation I had with you once upon a time, which was like the way that our grandparents had this like coin jar inside of their room. And, they would just come home every day, from like whatever the things that they did, buying something, just simple at the store. And they would deposit whatever the coin-based change was into this 5-gallon container. And it was always this like aspiration of mine, because as a kid, I slowly started realizing just how much money that was.
Yeah.
And from my perspective of it, I was like, they like accidentally saved thousands of dollars.
Right.
Like at some point in time, I think their whole like thing was that they would go and they would convert it into cash and then use that money to like go on like a cruise or something together.
Right.
And it was this like in my mind, it'd be like, wouldn't it be so cool to do that? But it's the same thing. It's such incremental growth.
Right.
You're talking about by almost definition less than $1 a day.
Right.
But like it gets there.
Right. Yeah. Eventually it adds up to something.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. It has made me very curious to start like trying thinking in this sort of like thinking about like the just building good habits and like framing stuff in that way, and just sort of like trusting to the nature of time to produce results at some point.
Well, and also maybe like having those habits be driven by truly chasing something that you yourself actually want.
Right.
Let me try to transition to a topic that I had written down that I think will fit. And if not, like we'll figure out like maybe like where I came from at least. So remind me that we started with Atomic Habits at some point in time when I inevitably lose my train of thought. But so as like an ongoing update of having stepped away from social media, I have had a myriad of different sort of like tiny little aha moments that have sort of indicated to me just how much my relationship with social media was influencing the underlying why as to the actions I was undergoing.
Okay.
So like, let's say there's a very like goal-based scenario. It's like I want to go and compete in like an elite race for Spartan racing or whatever. It's like, I think that it would not be hard for me to start to like dissect that goal and realize what I wanted was to be able to inevitably someday share that piece of like information. And it's like, do you want it, or do you want the like what it would say?
Admiration.
Whether it's the admiration or like the way that like it like fills in like the color of your character or something like that.
Right.
Like I want this to be like something that helps other people know like who I am.
Right.
Versus me doing something because it's something like that I might
want to do,
just solely wanting to pursue. And I think that when you find the answer to that question, the likelihood that you stick with it after that race is over starts to go up dramatically. Mm-hmm. But the example that I kind of stumbled across that maybe sort of like, as we were talking, I was like, I feel like this sort of fits a little bit, is that we're getting ready to actually, as of you, listener, hearing this episode, we will currently be on our family beach vacation.
Yes.
In South Carolina.
We're wrapping up, actually.
Yes. So great week.
Yeah. Hopefully.
So much fun.
Wow, can you believe all the family milestones and memories we made?
But there was that one moment where that one person tripped. Oh, shoot.
Man.
This is like Mike's wedding all over again, where I said that like there's the inevitability somebody is going to get hurt, and then I broke my toe. But anyway, so getting ready for the beach, I found myself in this like thought cycle that I have historically found myself in throughout the years, which was like, oh man, like I'm going to go do like a fun summery vacation. Like maybe I want to buy like a new bathing suit. And then it was the type of thing where it was like, well, I'm not actually going to like share a picture of said new bathing suit like anywhere because I'm not currently on social media. And so then it was like, well then do I even want a new bathing suit if
Right.
like there's no ability to share it? And then like what I started peeling back from there was like, why did I ever want a new bathing suit? Did I ever want a new bathing suit, or did I always want to like share it? And then it was almost like, well, now I don't need one. I have them. You know, it was like,
Right.
But I mean, to me, that was like a small, and maybe this feels very obvious, you know, from like an outsider's perspective looking in.
Right.
But to me, it was like a very cool moment of like self-recognition where it's like, huh, this is something I can look back on, and I can probably even tell you the origin story of the existing bathing suits that I have.
Right.
Because they've probably been purchased in a very similar manner of speaking,
Right.
to this thought. Like this is the one I bought for this trip.
This is how like all dads become like the dads you think of as like stereotypical, because eventually they're just like, who am I trying to impress? I just want the comfy ones.
Just sure. Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, I'm already married. The kids are stuck with me. I don't need to wear these flashy, uncomfortable swim trunks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With suspenders. I mean,
Right.
Are you kidding me? I'm just calling it right now. If you're listening 50 years from now, at some point in time, bathing suits had suspenders.
Right. Bathing suspenders.
Bathing suspenders.
Really big in the 2040s, you know.
Man.
What a time to be alive.
Who saw it coming?
We did, apparently.
We did, yeah. Called it. Called it.
Called it.
It would be fun to just start taking stabs at like the future. Just like
Like, what haven't they done with bathing suits yet? Suspenders?
right. I feel like
Yeah.
the show The Simpsons just tries this all the time.
Right.
And then like they correctly predict things, and it's like, are they correctly predicting things, or are they just always taking shots?
They're
and,
just throwing stuff at the wall.
and some of them just happen to hit.
Right.
But so, you know, okay, so if I can try to then backpedal myself to the adventure racing, the idea again would be sort of like, why did I want to do it in the first place? You know, and like, what was I hoping to get out of it? And given a world where nobody else knows that I did it at all, do you still want to do it? And what's cool to me is that the answer to that question is yes.
Right.
Like, it's like, I like the environment. I like the obstacles. I like, you know, like kind of battling those elements and stuff like that. And I think that it combines a lot of the stuff that I've historically done, where like even like with like my current like weightlifting type of training and stuff, I'm not trying to become a bodybuilder. I'm not trying to become a competitive weightlifter. And so it's like, why am I doing it?
Right. Because you just want to be healthy.
You just want to be healthy.
Right.
Yeah. But being able to then apply that strength to something that I can like enjoy on an ongoing basis, I think would help it turn into a good habit.
So it feels like this is helping you like unlearn why you were doing things or something.
Yes.
Which I feel like is probably a very good starting place for you, because I feel like you've expressed recently like you're like difficult figuring out like stuff you just personally like have personal passion about or something.
Yeah, I've definitely like had this issue. Like I had like a scenario where I left counseling, and I was like, I remember just feeling completely rocked by the assignment that the guy had given me, which was, you need to go and have 30 minutes of fun a day just for you. Like, that's it. Like, just find something fun. And it was almost like he had assigned me like 75 papers on Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
Or something. I was like, are you kidding me, man? Like, how am I supposed to fit this into my life? And then it was sort of like, as like the layers, you know, sort of were being peeled back, I'm like, why am I recoiling so hard at someone telling me to go and like take time for myself?
Right.
Go have fun.
Right.
I was upset that I was given this advice. And that was very, very, to me, eye-opening, because it was like, oh man, like how has this become such a foreign thought when on some level it feels like it should be like the underlying goal behind all of the other things we do.
Right.
You know, is like go to work, you know, earn a living so that you can then use that to do the things you love.
Right. Yeah. So what, if I can ask, what have you been doing with your 30 minutes a day?
Well, I went to a car wash one day.
Oh, Ben, I said fun, not ragers, okay, man?
I know. It was like pure luxury. No, but it was really funny, because back in like my early days of high school, I used to like wash and wax my car. It just because I don't know, it was completely spotless because I did it all the time. But as an adult, being much, much, much busier, I have found that like I like it's like if once a year I wash my car, it's like I'm killing it. So the day after I was given this assignment, that was exactly what I did. I got home and I was like, I'm gonna run to the car wash.
Right.
And so that's what I've been able to come up with. It has actually been like a very interesting like to call it a struggle feels like really the wrong word, but I have been very gobsmacked by how there isn't a more immediate and obvious answer to this question.
Right.
Like that to me feels like it's like I think that's probably why I was so like thrown off by being given this assignment.
Right. You were like, I don't even know how to have fun.
Yes.
Right.
Which is
that does seem like a problem.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, good place to leap off of. So if anybody has any great recommendations on things that you
does anyone know anything fun we could do?
I need some suggestions on how to have fun, please.
We're going to the beach next week. That should be fun.
It should be fun.
Yeah.
I have
why did you even ever want to go to the beach, Ben?
To spend time with family.
Yeah.
Outdoor activities.
Yeah.
No, I feel like we have gone through fantastic lengths. We're recording this obviously a full week in advance so that we are able to just go and be on vacation. I do feel like I have been just downright determined over the past week to be as prepared as humanly possible for this trip so that like once I'm there, it's just like,
I'm there.
It's like we made it.
We can just rest.
I've actually debated on not even bringing my phone on the trip.
Not even bringing your
just,
phone?
Just completely just being like, boom, I'm just here. I'm just present.
Man.
That's it.
Well, that would be quite the feat. I've considered at least deleting all like the social media apps off of my phone.
No way.
At least for the trip as maybe like a trial thing. This is one of the other weird things about the book is that it's about Atomic Habits, if we want to go full circle, is that it's like I think one of the things it warns against is taking like severe drastic action because like that's not a very like sustainable thing and it's not like a habit, so it's like easy to backslide. So I'm like, but at the same time I'm like, well, how would you begin the habit of being on social media less? Like that seems like a good way to start.
Yeah, my starting point was I set screen time limits that were very small, basically. So I think small based on very relative terms. I have no idea what typical usage is, but I had set my Instagram to 20 minutes a day and my TikTok to 30 minutes a day because TikTok far and away was the one I was spending the most time on.
Yeah.
But so I did that for a couple of weeks before outright deleting them.
Yeah.
Which I do think has been good for me because it felt like that was like the first step. And then for the most part, I have not found that it has been like weighing on me
right
to not have them with the very small exception being that I think that I didn't realize how much of the news that I consumed coming from my social platforms.
I see.
And so I have been a little bit behind on a couple of like big news topics that I felt like I probably needed to know more about more in the moment.
Right, you need like a new news gathering habit. Like maybe you should get like a physical paper or something.
I thought about an actual newspaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I mean, I'm sure it sounds like it's like to think of that as like a quaint idea.
Yeah.
You know, like this is how most people got the news.
Print media?
For most of forever.
Yeah.
Since we've had like public news.
Ben, this is okay. You know what? I said I was going to bring this up, and I know we're at like 70 minutes or something now, so it's just a little bit longer episode. I have to bring your attention to what I consider like this like fascination I am having on Twitter right now.
Okay.
With our local newspaper.
Oh.
Okay.
Interesting. The Roanoke Times.
The Roanoke Times, as it were, quite an establishment, a long-running newspaper in the area. Definitely the biggest newspaper here at the Roanoke Times. Okay, this is it. Like on Twitter, the Roanoke Times has like 63.5 thousand followers.
Pretty solid,
right? Okay,
more than me, I think.
Yeah, so not bad. Pretty good for your local newspaper, about what you'd expect.
Yep.
Right? Okay, and they show up in my feed all the time, all the different stories they post. It looks like it's just sort of some sort of automated, they post it to the website, it gets posted to the Twitter, whatever, right? Okay? This is what's baffling to me. And what is such a red flag is that They have 63.5 thousand followers, and there is zero, and I mean zero interaction with anything they post ever, no matter what it's about. So there's not a like, there's not a retweet, there's not a comment, there's like, no, you can scroll back and like maybe every 10 posts there will be like a single heart, maybe, you know.
Wow.
Like it is a barren landscape, and it is just like, how is this possible? And it's like I am forced to conclude that the Roanoke Times has like committed the cardinal sin of buying followers, or that it's like all bots or something. Because even that feels so unrealistic that
like even a bot doesn't have the ability to be posting something.
Not even that. Just that like even if it was 99% bots or fake followers or something, that there would be enough people who just live in Roanoke and are on Twitter that would interact with, dude, like in any, because if you go to any local news site here, it's Facebook page or Twitter, you can, you should not look at the comments because it is just a freaking flame war down there. It is terrible, but there are comments, like there's tons of interactivity. So I'm like, is literally nobody in Roanoke on Twitter? Because that wouldn't surprise me either. If I was amongst like the dozen people in the whole city on this app. But
I mean, we've talked about this before because like I don't know how common this is, but it's like none of our friends.
That's
like,
the thing.
Like we had like a Halo LAN party several weeks ago where we had 16 people make it so that we could play full 8v8, which was amazing.
Capture the flag. Actually, I do not like capture the flag. Everyone's all about it.
Oh, I love capture the flag.
Yeah,
but not the point.
Whatever.
But I feel like, of all of those 16 people, I'm pretty sure you are the only person who is active on Twitter.
Yeah.
Actually, and Ethan the editor.
Who works here.
Who works here.
Yeah.
But like even my Twitter, I deleted Twitter back in 2020. So like I have not been on Twitter in a long time.
Yeah.
But it's like no one that I know has it.
No one. But it's like, are we just in some sort of like Twitter dead zone on the map, like Roanoke? It's so weird I swear the Roanoke Times thing is just blowing my mind because it wouldn't surprise me if they bought all their followers and they're just not real and that's why they're not there. But it would surprise me if nobody was if there was zero real people following them at all.
Especially because it's not only that they don't have any activity on any of their recent posts, but there are recent posts.
That's right. It's updating every day. It's not like, oh yeah, we the Roanoke Times made a Twitter page. We decided to abandon it 6 years ago and no one's posted on it or whatever. Like we have high followers because people find us because they want to follow us, but then we don't post so they can't interact. It's like, no, I bet you, I'm going to look right now. And we're going to see on Twitter, on the Bird app. Let's see. Rowan, I bet I am looking at their page more than literally anybody.
Well, it almost seems like factually that is true.
And if you're listening to this, don't go throw them a bone. Don't go go start liking their stuff. Look at this. They have a blue check mark, Ben. They have a blue check mark. It's the legit. It's not like some fake Roanoke Times account, 63.5 thousand followers. Look, they posted something 2 minutes ago, okay? 2 minutes ago, 32 minutes ago, 50 minutes ago. There is zero interaction at all on just anything. How is it that nobody in Roanoke has the app?
I wonder if there's any chance that their feed is like set to some type of like private and it is only visible if you visit their page.
That would be baffling.
I mean, it would be, but like to me, this is the thing. Like if like take any celebrity, for example, on Instagram and go and look at the comments on one of their posts. I would be willing to bet that tons of them are just people who are commenting, but I would also be willing to bet a ton of them are like, hey, get $500 for free by going to blah, 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 blah.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all just like, it is just spam.
But there's not even that.
That's what I mean. Like, it's like the fact that even fake stuff isn't finding its way, especially when the other thing is that it's news, which tends to be like the thing that people have. It's like what Twitter was made for.
About. Yeah. Yes. It is unbelievable. 112.7 thousand tweets is what it says at the top. 112,000 tweets.
And no interactions.
No interactions. I mean, look at this. The most I can see is that 2 hours ago, there is one tweet that has 2 likes and 1 comment. And that's it.
What does the comment say?
Well, the tweet it's a story about a woman in West Virginia fatally shot and a man who began firing an AR-15 style rifle into a crowd of people that had gathered for a party, authorities said.
Yikes.
Yeah. So it's
Wow. Well, so anyway, I mean, yeah, it's fascinating. It's very, very unusual and unlikely and bizarre. Maybe there needs to be like some type of deep dive exploratory, like maybe we should do an episode of the Pop where like we like play like mystical music and like today we unravel the mystery of the Roanoke Times.
It's just I don't get it.
Was that the X-Files music?
I think so, yeah.
Anyway. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of The Pop. We appreciate all of your feedback. If you want to send it over to popcornculturepod@gmail.com. I know we covered just a whole bunch of fun bases today. Obviously, we recommend reading the book Atomic Habits. We can link that in the show notes down below.
I would not recommend following the Roanoke Times.
Please do not do that.
Don't
please
do that. Do not throw them any bones.
No bones thrown from here.
Yeah.
Also, through the end of the month of June, we will be having the Moleskin Notebook Popcorn Culture exclusive merch available. And again, that is going to be a black hardcover notebook in the large format. It will be lined. It will have a gold stamp with the Popcorn Culture logo on it and your name in gold. Also on the cover, over on Patreon, we should have listed a really beautiful photo of the official prototypes that have come in for Jay and I. Again, that's patreon.com/popcornculture. Otherwise, until next time,
pop.